1979-ish, I think, Batman Mego figure. Pocket Heroes figure. He was my favorite action figure. I don't think I got him in 1979. It was probably 81 or something. It was still on the pegs, but this was my go-to Batman. It was my favorite action figure for years. The fact that, you know, the size of him, the look of him, everything, it was just great. Being only about 4 inches tall, he was pretty much the perfect action figure size. Could fit in with all the other different toy figure lines at the time. Could ride around the Batmobile with Zap. Or he could beat up Walrus Man. A few years later, they came out with Superpowers Batman. The legendary Superpowers action figure line from Kenner. With some superpower motions when you squeeze their legs together. But I never quite loved this figure like I did my Mego figure, because he was too big to fit in any of my G.I. Joes, and couldn't walk around G.I. Joe headquarters and mix in with the other figures. Then around 1986, something terrible happened. I took him to the beach, and I lost him. And I was devastated for years to come after that. I lost my all-time favorite action figure. And it was long discontinued. Mego was no longer even a company, and this is before eBay. So my hopes of ever finding another one was absolutely hopeless. For all my superhero adventures, I had to go back to playing with Superpowers Batman. Although I did try sculpting another one out of clay, and yeah, that never quite happened. Hopefully I'll get back into that. I've been trying to mess around with sculpting clay for action figure customizations. I'm getting kind of good at it, but not quite good enough yet to make a whole replica action figure. But 1989 came, and new Batman figures because of the movie. You got two versions, two action figure lines, one by Kenner, one by Toybiz, of Batman figures. Although they still compared in comparison to him, because I was still playing with G.I. Joes at the time, and they didn't quite fit in, so I couldn't mesh continuities there with action figures. Both of them were obviously based on him. And even the original packaging for him showed a repainted version of him, just in black, and I thought that was cool. And this is obviously just a remolding with a new head and some other bits. They even did the same shenanigans with the Joker. You have the Toybiz Joker based off the original Kenner Superpowers Joker, then Kenner whoops out the same exact mold, puts a new head on him. This was some sort of weird, almost kind of Mexican bootleg version of the original Joker, but still got to play with him. Weirdly enough, I never even crossed the two lines together. It's not like I would have Toybiz Batman fight Kenner Joker. I always kept them separate. I will say though, there's better detailing done in the Kenner line. I always went back to my Toybiz just because they were weird and had sculpted as well and kind of ugly looking. But there's charm to it. You figure at the toy company, the Toybiz company is like, all right, we need a Batman figure. It's Friday afternoon, and oh, we got to go into production on Monday morning. So, hey Bob, sculpt something over the weekend. He's probably like, oh shit. And then he came up with this by the end of the weekend. Toybiz had a lot of ugly figures early on, but there's a charm to their ugly figures. A few years later, I think maybe the next year, they came out with Butt Ugly Spider-Man, and he had cool little suction cups on his hands. Toybiz was not off to a great start, but for some reason I seem to buy all their action figures. Look at the details on this one. Looks more realistic. The only thing looks like they redid the legs because they don't bend. They just added more details onto his boots. And this thing, his cowl. And got an all new head. This came in a million different colors with a little different bunch of gadgets. I only had two. I had this one and a gold one. Probably played with him more because you also got in this line, they ended up having Superman, they had Robin, all the rest of the knockoff Justice League ones, and they were more based on the original molds. This one, they probably scrapped the idea of just repainting Superpowers Batman black because Kenner was going to do it. I stopped at only two of these because, well, my original Superpowers one was still in my rotations for playing. I had two of these. Some weird variant, ugly light colored cape and original dark colored cape. This is another Batman I did lose, but I found a few weeks later, and it was replaced when I was a little kid. But yeah, back to these guys. Yeah, there's no need to get like a purple Batman and a camo Batman. I thought they just got kind of silly after a while, so after I had a blue one and a gold one, that's all I really needed. That was more about the Toybiz ones. I actually got 3 of Toybiz Batman. I don't have 3 of them because I'm an adult collector and started hoarding them. I actually had 3 of them from childhood. You know, I remember getting one originally when it came out on the shelves, and then you get one for your birthday because your parents forgot they bought you one, and then you get one from Grandma because she didn't even know that you had that to begin with. So, but I noticed there was a variant. This one's got more of a Michael Keaton looking head, and this one's just a generic Batman head. But then, in the mid-90s, I found this guy at a flea market, and just a few short years before eBay, and I started buying up, you know, I got multiple versions of him now from eBay. So there was a happy ending to that story. Mattel finally did come up with a Batman figure that could hang out with your Star Wars figures and all that. This is, I think, from The Dark Knight Rises. No, Dark Knight. This is Dark Knight. This is a Christian Bale Batman. His legs don't bend well, but he does fit in the Batmobile. Look at him in comparison to Mego Batman. But he's overly sculpted and doesn't have charm of original. Old school action figures were better. The lack of details were more charming. I liked it. Much like part 1 of this video, there was really no point to it other than just my thoughts on 1989 Batman figures. And here was just a recap from part 1. Here's the DC Comics Multiverse version of Batman. Very well detailed and very boring figure. Brings me no nostalgia, and I don't really feel like playing with it. But I had a wealth of Batman back in the day. Just not my favorite.